Hey guys, it's Rush. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. There's a lot of videos out there that talk about anti-air DP and how to do them and the many situations you have to face when trying to do anti-air DP, specifically in Street Fighter 6. The advice I'm going to give in this video is advice for Street Fighter 6 and just general advice about anti-air DP. I do feel a lot of the guides out there, including my own, are a bit too complicated, and this topic is very simple to cover. So in this video, I'll quickly cover anti-air DP and how I utilize this technique to get the most out of it in fighting games. So first and foremost, there's 3 ways to anti-air DP in Street Fighter 6 specifically. From crouching, you can do down, forward, down, down, forward, punch. In quick succession, that will give you an anti-air DP. This technique is used for when the opponent is very close to you, the jumping is very tight, or where you want to do an autocorrect DP, which we'll talk about later. The second input is just a standard DP. It's just forward and then a almost quarter circle forward input. And you'll get a DP. There you can see my inputs. It's registering forward, then quarter circle forward. That will give you a DP. And this other example, I'll need Luke to jump to do this, but you walk forward and then you half circle back and press punch. And because Luke goes to the other side, it will register that as an anti-air DP, a cross-cut DP. If you look at the inputs, I went from right, roll all the way to left, press punch, and that gave me a cross-cut DP. That only works because they've gone to the other side. My opponent has jumped over me to the other side. That will not work if the opponent remains in front of you. So that's the 3 input methods. Now where to use them. So a standard forward, quarter circle forward input to anti-air DP is always used when the opponent is in front of you. That's a very bog standard input for a jump-in that's in front. You can also use this input method to get a cross-cut, but this is risky in Street Fighter 6 specifically because jump-ins hit very high up. If you're standing, your hurt box is taller. If you DP from crouching, your hurt box is smaller, it's shorter, so there's less chance of getting bopped on the head by a punch or a kick in the air. But I feel crouching for a autocorrect DP is better. So at this range, I can do an autocorrect. There was the down forward method. I got an autocorrect DP. Now to explain autocorrect, what an autocorrect is you do a DP to the left or the right, but because during the input of the DP, the opponent's gone to the other side, the game actually makes the Dragon Punch come out the other way entirely. So I did the DP facing the right, but the game gave me the DP coming out to the left. Now, this is tricky because you have to DP very, very late. There is the risk of getting hit on the head with the attack and also the timing. The timing in itself is just difficult. And there are times where you may misjudge the timing and your DP will still come out the wrong way. You'll come out DPing to the right in this scenario, but Luke will be on the left-hand side and your DP will whiff. That is unfortunately the risk of using a autocorrect DP, but there are situations in this game where you need to rely on this method. And the most common situation where you'll have to do a DP forwards, but where the opponent has jumped over you, an autocorrect, is where you're in the corner. The way Street Fighter 6 works, if Luke jumps and puts himself in the corner, he doesn't actually go into the corner, he stays in front. So with your back against the wall, this is where you need to use autocorrect. If I try and do a DP forwards by doing forward, quarter circle forward, it will not work. So when the opponent jumps, you have to go into a crouching position and do the down forward input and press the button as they're on top of you or just coming down from the air, and the game will autocorrect DP. I forget to do this a lot in this game, but that's how you input that situation, the DP in that situation, to get the anti-air DP. The last thing I want to talk about is movement when someone is jumping. So if someone's jumping and you're in neutral and you're walking, I see a lot of people hesitate to anti-air DP because they can't go from a walk back or a walk forward into DP. Now, this I don't feel like is spoken about enough, but this is something you have to practice. I had to practice in Street Fighter 5, going from walking back straight into DP. I had to practice this input because you can't be walking around and not be ready to anti-air DP. You can't be doing things like only anti-air DPing after you throw a fireball because you're looking for the jump. You have to be able to transition into DP whilst you're moving. That's super important. And this is probably the most difficult part of anti-air DPing in the neutral game. So practice it, set the dummy to jump and walk around whilst they're jumping and try and transition from your movement to DP. You can actually deliberately walk underneath. I do this a lot. So if I can see the opponent is at a range where I feel like they're going to go over, but I'm not sure, walk underneath them, deliberately walk underneath them and do the half circle method. And that will work. That's a really, in my opinion, that's quite an easy thing to do once you get it down. But going from walking back to then anti-airing forwards, that always seems like the most tricky thing to do. With the way jumps work in this game, because they're so powerful, they have big hitboxes that come downwards. Going from movement into DP is quite scary. It is very scary in this game. But you've got to practice it. You've got to force yourself to be uncomfortable and just go from walk backwards, walk forwards to transition into anti-air DP. For me, when I'm doing this, when I'm moving, I always do the forward, quarter circle forward. But if I walk under them, I then do the half circle back method. That is it for the video, guys. Pretty short, pretty sweet, pretty concise. But I feel like that is the golden tips when it comes to anti-air DP. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Learn these techniques and you will become an anti-air god. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one. Take care.